For a heartbeat, the silence was unbearable. 100 alien warriors, blades and spears raised moments ago, now bowed their heads in unison. Their voices rumbled in low, guttural chants I didn't understand, the sound reverberating through the wreckage of the battlefield. The armored woman I held swayed on her feet, leaning into me as though the strength had gone from her. Yet her eyes never left mine. "You touched the bond," she whispered, her voice trembling but carrying an echo, like many voices layered together. I don't understand," I stammered. Her lips curved faintly, almost a smile. "You are not meant to. And yet you did." Before I could answer, the ground vibrated. More Thrini reinforcements poured onto the field, rows of soldiers in brilliant armor, their banners glowing with symbols of conquest. My stomach dropped. We were finished. But instead of charging us, they too knelt. Every single one. The woman straightened weakly, placing her hand on my shoulder. "I am High Warden Kilira of the Thrini Dominion. By aiding me, you have awakened the right of allegiance. They no longer answer to me. They answer to you." The words hit me like plasma fire. "What? Well, that's impossible. I'm just a soldier. A human soldier who's probably not going to live through this day." Her hand tightened. Her expression was deadly serious. "You lifted me when I fell. You bound yourself to the Warden's pact. They see you now as sovereign." Sovereign? Me? The world tilted beneath me. But the proof was undeniable. The alien warriors, all of them kneeling waiting for my command. The middle, the burden of command. The following days blurred into madness. The Thrini carried us from the battlefield, not as prisoners but as honored figures. My fellow human soldiers, those who had survived, were left untouched. No executions, no slaughter. The Dominion army simply withdrew, forming ranks around us as though we were precious cargo. Kilira, though weakened, never left my side. She explained, as much as I could comprehend, that the Thrini had ancient traditions older than their empire itself. The Warden, the commander of their armies, was bound by sacred armor that chose its rightful bearer. If another being touched the Warden at a moment of defeat, aiding them without seeking power, the bond could shift. It had shifted to me. I was, by every Thrini law, now their rightful commander, their sovereign warden. To say my human commanders were stunned would be an understatement. When news reached them, they demanded my return. They wanted to dissect the situation, exploit it, use it as leverage against the Dominion. But the Thrini refused to let me go. And for reasons I didn't fully understand, Kilira refused to let me go. "You saved me," she told me one night as we rested in a crystalline chamber that served as her recovery hall. "No one has done that for centuries. Our kind sees weakness as dishonor. We rise alone or we perish. But you reached for me." I shook my head. "I didn't do it for power. I didn't even know what I was doing." "That is why the armor chose you," she said simply. A dilemma. Weeks turned into months. I lived among them, trained among them, commanded their forces in simulated exercises. To my horror, they obeyed my words without hesitation. I could order them to disband, to attack, to retreat, and they would. The human alliance grew suspicious of me. Was I a traitor now? A double agent? They saw the Thrini kneel before me and whispered that I had been compromised. But the Thrini believed I was the key to ending the war. And Kilira, she believed something more. "You are not just sovereign," she murmured one evening as we looked out over the alien starscape from her flagship. "You are bridge between our kinds. You can do what I could not." I studied her. The way her armor seemed alive with faint light, the way her gaze softened when she looked at me. She wasn't just a commander anymore. She was someone who had trusted me with her life. And maybe, impossibly, I trusted her back. The turning point. The War Council of Humanity demanded my return. They wanted to strip me of this so-called power and weaponize it. The Dominion Council demanded the opposite, that I fully embrace the role, lead them against humanity, or risk being seen as a false sovereign. I was trapped between two empires, each expecting me to bend to their will. But I remembered that moment on the battlefield. Her broken body, my hand reaching out. That hadn't been about power or politics. It had been about choice, compassion. And I realized then, maybe compassion itself was the weapon neither side had ever considered. So I made my decision. The ending, the sovereign's choice. When both councils gathered under a fragile truce aboard the neutral station of Halvros, tensions soared. Humanity's generals came armed with documents, demands, veiled threats. The Thrini warlords came with banners and soldiers at their backs, eyes burning with suspicion. And I walked into the chamber with Kilira beside me. The air was thick with hostility, until I raised my voice. I never asked for this role, I said. I am not Thrini. I am not Dominion. I am not here to lead a war for one side or the other. A murmur rippled through the chamber. But you will choose, one human general snapped. You must. No, I said louder now. What I must do is honor the bond that was formed when I lifted her from the ground. I did not see an enemy that day. I saw someone who needed help. And now every soldier, human and Thrini alike, kneels before the idea that compassion can be stronger than conquest. The Thrini warlords bristled. Some even rose in outrage. But Kilira raised her hand, silencing them. He speaks truth, she said. Our ways are old, bound by honor. But honor without mercy is hollow. This sovereign has reminded us of what we have forgotten. I turned to the humans. You wanted a weapon. You wanted leverage. But what I offer is something neither of you have ever managed. Peace. The chamber erupted in chaos. Shouting. Accusations. And then Kilira did the unthinkable. She knelt. Before everyone. Before me. One by one, the Thrini soldiers followed, the sight of their high warden bowing breaking centuries of rigid tradition. The human commanders stared in stunned silence. Because for the first time, the Dominion was not kneeling to conquer, but to yield. It was the beginning of something new. Epilogue. Years later, they would call it the Pact of Halvros, the first treaty between humanity and the Thrini, ending a war that had seemed eternal. Trade flourished. Colonies rebuilt. And though tensions lingered, there was hope. Kilira remained at my side. Not as a subordinate, not as a prisoner, but as an equal. Together, we navigated the fragile balance between two species learning to coexist. Sometimes late at night I would still think back to that battlefield. The smoke, the ruin, the moment my hand closed around hers. I hadn't known then that it would change everything. But I did know one truth that carried through it all. When I assisted the armored woman off the ground, and all the guards knelt, it wasn't the start of my reign. It was the start of our peace.